A brother with cats? What's up with that?
I guess I should start off by saying that I've always been an animal lover. From a child in school, we would have to go to the library and check out books. Mine would always be about animals, space, and sports, of course. But I've always been fascinated with animals, all animals. I could tell you anything from the hyena on the plains of Africa to the one-celled organism, the amoeba. As far as pets, I've always had dogs, like most boys, But I've also had and still have a fascination with fish. I don't think I've ever been without a fish tank since the 7th grade. I've always had at least one. I have 4 of them right now. Now, dogs, I've had dogs off and on throughout my life. I actually bred dogs on a couple of occasions. I would have had some dogs right now under different circumstances, but we'll get to the cats here in a minute. Now, to tie all this together, I understand I need to give a little more insight about myself, a little of my story, if you will. I am an entrepreneur. I've been one pretty much all of my adult life. I've been a financial analyst and owned that business over the last 26 years. I live here in the DMV. That stands for DC, Maryland, and Virginia. For those of you all who don't know, this is a tri-state area. And you have it correct. It is the DEV in the DMV. Anyway, a few years back, I went to Indianapolis, Indiana to expand the business and open an office out there. I was there for a couple of years. While I was there, I had a major event with my health. I almost died. I had to learn how to walk again, how to drive a car again, all that. If it were not for a handful of people, I wouldn't even be here speaking to you today. Shout out to Kim Sykes Joseph and Mama V. Also, shout out to Kent and Lori Preston, some of the nicest people I ever met. But I overcame that. I kicked it in the butt. If I didn't mention that to somebody, they would never even know that it happened, but it's in the rear view. But I had to mention that because it ties into the cats. So once I got strong enough to come home, of course, the business was on life support. I wound up closing the office down in Indy, but I opened that new office in the DMV upon my return. I started looking for dogs about a month before I came back to the DMV. I wanted some dogs again, and that connection with animals has great healing power, something which I knew I could still use. So, anyway, at the last minute, my realtor changed the location of the office. He found a great situation for me, but it was halfway across town. And because it was the last minute, the last thing I can find in terms of housing in close proximity to the office was an apartment, which was fine at the time, but it kind of ruined the whole dog thing because, I like big dogs. I like guard dogs, dogs you typically are not going to have in an apartment. And I always get, two of them so they can, bounce off each other, have each other's company and all of that. So, I had actually narrowed it down to two dogs. One was the Caney Corso, who's like 130 to 150 pound dog. And the other one is the South African Borbal. That dog is anywhere between 180 to 200 pounds. So you can imagine those, even though I was going to get them as puppies, those are dogs you cannot raise in an apartment. So I'm still going to get dogs. It's just obviously not at this moment, but I narrowed it down between those two. I've decided that I'm getting a Borbal. So stay tuned for that. So of course, I was excited to be coming home. I was happy about the new office, but I was kind of bummed out about the dog situation. Then one day, this guy on Facebook posted something about these cats. Now, mind you, I'm still thinking about the dogs and getting dogs and disappointed and all of that. So that's fresh in my mind. So this guy posted something about these cats, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of, to all you brothers out there who your woman won't let you get a dog, or your wife or something like that won't let you get a dog, here's the next best thing. And he was talking about these cats that act like dogs. And the cats were the breed Devon Rex. And so I went on to read the article he posted, and he was saying how these cats act like dogs. They follow you around. Now, grant you, I'm an animal lover. I love all animals. I always like cats too, but I admire them from afar. I never wanted to have a cat as a pet per se for two reasons. First of all, cats are very independent. They very aloof. Half the time they don't want to be bothered with you. My thought was, if I have a pet in my house and I'm feeding them and paying vet bills and doing whatever, I don't want a pet that don't want to be bothered with me. That was just my thought. The second reason I never really wanted a cat as a pet is I know they tend to shed a lot. They have more than one layer of fur, so they shed. And I'm one of those neat people that don't like shedding. I had dogs one time that shed quite a bit, and that was a nightmare. So I really don't like that. So for those reasons, and those are really the reasons I didn't want a cat. I never even thought about it. But after reading this article, what the guy said, these cats act like dogs. They real people friendly. They follow you everywhere you go. They act like little puppies, if you can imagine puppies around your heels all the time, or your ankles. And so I was like, okay, well these they don't have the typical cat personality. The other thing was the cats was almost bald. They had one layer of hair, and in the article it said they didn't shed. Now that I have them, they do shed. It's little, but they do. But at the time when I read that, I was like, I'm thinking about getting these dogs. I can't get the dogs. Maybe this is the next best thing. I get cats that act like a dog. Then I knew I was going to be real busy getting this new office off the ground. So I was excited about the fact I didn't have to walk these things. You just train them to the litter box, yada, yada, yada. So some kind of way, I talked myself into getting these cats. And that's how I wound up getting Batman and Robin when I came back to the DMV. So, how Brotha happened. I had Batman and Robin for a little while now, and I had fish too, so I'm always in my neighborhood PetSmart, um, getting food for the fish, getting different things for the cats now. And they have this program in there, forgive me, I don't remember the name of it, but where they have rescue cats that you can get. And of course, I wasn't gonna get another cat, but now that I have cats, I'm kind of in tune to them. And I would always go back there and mess with the cats in the back. And it was this one little black kitten. We kind of connected. Every time I come in there, it seemed like he knew who I was, and we had little conversations. And so the people in there, they starting to recognize me now. So we would talk. And the guy told me one day, I think it was a Thursday. I forget what day, but it was toward the end of the week. And he said, yeah, you need to come get this cat because he's scheduled to get put down tomorrow. I was like, huh? Then, he kind of explained to me that there's a window that these cats are here. It's called Last Chance Rescue. That's what it is. Apparently, these cats go through different shelters, and when they get the PetSmart, because they supposed to have more visibility, it's like their last chance, and after that, they get put to sleep. And I was like, wow. Now, I had two cats. Didn't even want them. I was trying to adjust to having cats. I'm like, a third cat? So I was like, nah, man, that's messed up. I didn't even know it worked like that. But I drove home like I don't have no room for three cats. Man, that for the couple hours I was at home, that thing was eating at me. I was like, how could you know that this cat is gonna die and leave him there to die? And then I just kept thinking about how we connected. He would look at me when I came in there. So my butt went back down to the store and I got that cat. Not knowing, understanding how it would work. Didn't have a plan, didn't have anything, but I couldn't let that be on my conscience, so thus is the birth of Brotha. So what about the D.E.V? How did that come to be? Well, I tell you, I mentioned that I've been an entrepreneur all my life, but my first business wasn't in finances. It was in music. I dropped out of college at 21 years old, much to the chagrin of my parents, of course. But I dropped out of college to start a record label with a friend of mine. We also started a production company and a publishing company so that we could own the rights to everything. We initially formed a group, and then the business part of it kind of came along. I write music and poetry, and later I got into production. Now we had acts on the label, both R&B and hip hop, that I wrote and produced for. as well as our group. I can't sing like that, but I can write songs. Um, I'm an MC, so our particular group, we were in hip hop. I did music for a living for many years. It's one of the passions of my life. We all have gifts, we just have to, first of all, learn what they are and how to tap into them. But one of my main gifts is vision. I have the ability to see things in my mind and bring them to reality out here. There's nothing like writing something and then finding the beat and the bass line, etc., to go with it, and then putting that on tracks and feeling it come to life. Then watching people bob their head to it, people dance in the clubs to your music, or rock with you on stage. It's hard to put into words, but it's few things in life that I have found that connect with me that way. I'm returning to that now through this platform. It's not exactly the same, but it's the creative process again for me. Thoughts and ideas brought to life through film. Um, it's also why you will see the music woven into what I do. It's my passion. I hope to find those who enjoy it so that we can build something together that we can all be proud of. But let me get back to that. I got off track, got into that passion. So, what happened to the music back then? Well, I got married. We bought a house, etc., etc. And the music, the money I was making from the music, it was cool for just me, but it wasn't enough to raise a family, you know. So my wife, who's deceased now, her and I at the time, we set out to find a business that we could build together. And she knew I wasn't the employee type. That's when we started in finance. Shout out to Sharon and Greg Ridley. I lost her along the way, but I'm sure she would have been proud. Made well over six figures and helped a whole lot of people. But after the health stuff went down, I lost a lot. And then the pandemic happened before I really recovered. But I tell you, if that stuff would have all went down maybe 15 years ago, I probably would have battled back. But the reality of the situation is I was just burnt out. That's a big part of it, straight up. I learned a long time ago in business, in sales, which is the same thing, by the way, that you got 10 years to build it before burnout sets in. I don't care who you are or how much money that you have made. So it had been 26 for me. I built it a couple of times, but things happen. It's nobody's fault. It's just that was just my path. But during the pandemic, when we were all on serious lockdown, I had time to reflect. I watched a lot of YouTube. I started to study the business model and my wheels started to turn. I love helping people and I love finances, but it was never my passion. I was driven by building generational wealth and financial freedom, which I still am. But I come to realize that Financial freedom is a big part of freedom. Don't let anybody tell you that it isn't. But it is not total freedom. I saw how I could tie my true passions in life to my financial pursuits. And after 26 years, it was time to walk away. But not totally. I will continue to serve the thousands of clients that we developed over the years, and I will continue to help clients who need my expertise. You don't do anything for 26 years and not be very good, if not one of the best at it, which I am. No, what I have done is relinquish my ownership in the business so that I may move on. Now let's talk about what we're doing now. The Cool Cats and the D.E.V is the channel that hopefully you guys are enjoying now. But what we've done is set up a multimedia company, Uhuru Multimedia. Uhuru means freedom in a native tongue. Under this umbrella, we will be bringing different channels and other things in the near future. So check out the website and stay tuned for that. But right now, our goal is to spread love for cats around the globe to all kinds of different people with a different approach. We look to have fun, education, music, entertainment, and of course, more fun. We're looking to grow the Cool Cats crew into a movement. So by you subscribing and sharing with others, you become part of that effort. So let's grow together, and I promise we'll have fun doing it. Now let's say it together. Treat your animals well. They didn't ask to be there with you, but now all they have is you. Treat them like family, fam.